Hey, just a quick update video. This one, I think I'll just show you where I'm at. I wanted to do it now before I start doing all the configuring that I want to do, because it's going to take a little while, and if I left the video until I was done, the base would probably look entirely different. So yeah, first things first, take a look at the slime farm. So this is a failed slime farm. What it is the slime's supposed to spawn in the slime water, and we've got a piston on a timer which closes it off and opens it, so we get slime coming down and flying. But yeah, they've completely changed the mechanics of all the slime stuff, so it doesn't work the way it used to. So as you can see, it runs really slowly now. So the column of slime water doesn't drop before the piston does its thing, and then there's like this little tiny bit of slime comes down and drops on top of the thing. Anyway, it doesn't work, and it doesn't seem like the spawn rates for slime are what they used to be, even if they can spawn in here. So I don't know, and I don't actually need this, so I'm not going to put the effort into actually figuring out how to make it all work. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it. Failed experiment. I'll probably take the timer off just because it doesn't need to be running. Yeah, other than that, I've got an AE2 system set up. So if you can see, we've got some cables coming through. This dense cable goes right into B4, so that goes all the way to the top, and then this, it'll probably go down to the bottom at some point too. So here's the vacuum freezer. I believe last time I left it, we needed the vacuum freezer, which I got working. Got a little temporary setup here for the charger. The charger turns Certus crystals into charged Certus crystals, so I've been using that because I've needed some crystals. Here's my first basic AE2 system setup. We've got an ME drive here for storing items. At the moment I've got a couple stacks of copper ingots and a couple of copper wires. This is the ME controller, which is the main brain of the system, and then this is the crafter. So we've got a 1K crafting storage unit, which holds the crafts, and then the crafting co-processing unit, which lets it does more crafts simultaneously. And then we've got an interface here hooked up to a molecular assembler, and the molecular assembler is what actually does the crafting. And we've also got a crystal growth chamber here, which is used for growing fluix and Certus crystals. Yeah, so real tiny, real basic at the moment. Actually, I don't think I've shown the... Okay, we've got a zombie spawn. I assume I can do that. So this is the level 3 miner. Yeah, level 3. So it's going. You can see it's not reaching the ground. That's just a miscalculation on my part, because you put the top part down first, and you hit it with the wand and it builds the rest. And yeah, so I put this top up here because I thought that's where it went, but it didn't. Yeah, this just feeds into the end of the chest, which goes upstairs into B4 for processing. But each tier is bigger than the last one. I believe tier 5 and 6 might be the same size, but yeah, so tier 4 will be bigger than this, and that will reach the ground. Yeah, so if we have a look, let's see, cable going up, I think L3 is more. So what I've got here is I've set up 2 more metal press. So this one over here does wires, this one's set up with gears, and this one with the plates. Because when I'm doing it manually, it's easy enough to pull out the different press plates and switch between them. But once you start doing auto crafting, you can't do that. You gotta set up separate ones. So you can see here we've got an ME interface which pushes the ingots onto the metal press. Press then turns them into wires, puts them into the chest, and then the chest pushes them into this ME interface down here. Now I have a suspicion that I could just put the interface here and the items would automatically pop into there. I haven't tried that out yet, but I might do that. You can see I've got the cables all running through here ready. I haven't set up the other 2 presses with interfaces yet, and then that cable just runs into this big dense cable that's running through there. So yeah, set that up. I'll show you how we do things. So at the moment this is a pattern terminal. This is for creating auto crafting patterns. I need to set up a different terminal for actually using the system. But yeah, I've got this set up enough that I've been trying out the auto crafting so that I can craft copper wires, which is cool. My first goal is to craft the electronic circuits, which is a little bit of stuff. So in order to auto craft an electronic circuit, we need copper wires, redstone, silicon, copper ingot, refined iron, and gold. So you see these gold, copper, and redstone, they just come from storage, processed from the miner. So the first thing I'm setting up at the moment is creating the insulated copper cables, and then the next thing will be turning sand into silicon. So in order to do that, we set up a recipe pattern. I've got one here. I'll quickly show what we can do. So what I would do, or what I did do, is 2 copper wire makes an insulated copper cable. Now set this to processing, which means that we're going to give this to a machine to do, but the other way is crafting. So this only takes crafting recipes and it automatically knows what the output of the craft is. So yes, so I've already done that. That's this pattern here. What I can then do is, if we come up here, this is the crafting storage and crafter for the EFAB. I can put my pattern into here, which tells us any interface that the system it's connected to can craft that. Yeah, let's see if that works. So what I should be able to do now is see how it's got this here with craft. There's two views or three views here. So we can view the items we've got, or we can view the crafting things we've got. So if I do 10, what that's going to tell me is it needs 9 copper ingots because it needs to craft more copper wires. And then if we go start, so you can see it's taken the copper wire. Yep, and now the copper cable's showing up, and they will just slowly come through as it finishes crafting. So great, that system's set up. So basically what I'm going to do is finish filling out a whole bunch of interfaces, a whole bunch of patterns, get things crafting. Okay, that's, I guess because I have to wait for the metal press, it's just taking a little while. But yeah, it's going through that process and getting everything sorted and removing the refined storage system and just using this AE2 system. So I'll probably set up the main crafting here just because I've got some space to set up all the molecular assemblers and stuff. But I can put these terminals anywhere on these cables. So I'll probably have terminals in quite a few of the levels for crafting, so I don't have to do what I've been doing previously and going to L2 every time to craft stuff. Yeah, okay, something's blocked. I'm betting it's the copper wires up here. I'll have to figure that out later. But yeah, that's what I'm up to. Did a few quests to get there. So the main one was this digital upgrade for the EFAB. Once I had that done, I could make the ME controller. One thing I had to do was, you can see those parts, they're separate from the system because they speed up the recipes, but they also increase the power draw for the recipes. So I couldn't create the ME controller with it sped up 4 times because that required a lot more RF per tick than I could generate. So once I removed those, I was then able to create the ME controller. That was fine. That just required a bit of effort, the digital one, getting the ludicrite and stuff from the extreme reactor, everything like that. Nothing too crazy, just a bunch of recipes and things. And then yeah, cables, and I've shown you these systems, ME drive and scriber, to create the new logic chips and everything that all the ME or all the AE2 mod machines require. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. Probably won't be making much quest progress until I've got this all sorted, but once it is, then things like filling out all the rest of these quests should be fairly easy. So I should be able to basically finish all these pages before I start with all the advanced rocketry stuff, which should be nice. Should get me a good platform for moving forward. Yeah. So I've got Iron Man there, and then Iron Man there. Yeah, there's only a couple here, but yeah, much rather get all this crafting system set up so I can get through this stuff really quickly, hopefully, and really easily. This is basically where I got up to in my Project Ozone 2 playthrough, was setting up these AE2 systems. The problem with my Project Ozone 2 playthrough was that my base was a lot bigger and a lot more complicated than this. It's spread across several dimensions, so it got a bit too much to handle, and things were playing around because everything was spread out and so complex and so big. So that's basically why I went with a one chunk design that I have, to try and reduce that complexity and everything. It's kind of worked out in that regard. But yeah, hopefully I can get this all done. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think it'll be worth it. And I think once I start getting into it, it won't be difficult. It'll just take a lot of time to set up all the recipes that I want and things. But you know, if you start with the base ones and then you can use those ones to create the more complex ones, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So yeah, I'll leave that here today, and yeah, hopefully things are looking a lot different in the next one. I'll see you then.